Once your case has been settled, the opposing attorney will draft some documents and send those to us. Uh, Workers' compensation settlement documents are usually they will consist of several different things. The primary document, the one that's going to be filed with the State Board of Workers' Compensation, it's called a stipulation and agreement, and that's usually several pages that essentially the document just ends the case forever and for always. Once the case is settled, once that's signed and filed with the state board, your income benefits, if you're receiving them, will stop. Medical treatment will stop, and it'll be up to you to figure out a way to get medical treatment in the future if that's something you're still interested in doing. The other documents we usually see are a release and a resignation. The resignation is required for a couple of reasons. One, the employer doesn't want you to draw unemployment against them. The resignation will prevent that from happening. And the other thing, as part of the resignation, there's also an agreement not to reapply. And they don't want you going back to work there because the workers' comp insurance carrier doesn't want the liability for you to go back and hurt yourself, and then they end up paying for the same thing twice. The last document is a general release. And what the general release is, that's kind of like getting divorced from the employer. You're saying not only are you settling the workers' compensation case, you're agreeing not to sue them for anything forever and for always related to your employment with that employer. So those are the three different documents. It used to be that in mediations, a lot of times the insurance company attorneys would show up at the mediation with the settlement documents, but we don't see that so much anymore. Usually within 2 or 3 days after the mediation, we'll get the settlement documents from them. I like to review them. It's usually 15 or 20 pages worth of stuff. So I like to review it, dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure everything looks good. And we may go back and forth with their attorney a few times to get some specific language ironed out. But usually within about several days after mediation, we'll have all that finalized. I'll schedule a time for you to come in. It takes 20 or 30 minutes max to go over everything, answer any questions that you have. We'll get everything signed, get it sent back to their folks. Once their lawyer gets it, their lawyer's office will file it, the stipulation with the State Board of Workers' Comp. These days, the comp board is all over the place for the approval time for these. I've seen anything I've seen some in a day and some take up to a month. So a good thing is if you're getting TTD during that time, your workers' comp checks, you will continue to receive those until the state board approves the settlement. Once the board approves the settlement, the insurance company has 20 days to mail your check, and they usually are pretty good about getting it done within that time frame, because if they don't, they owe a 20% penalty on the whole lump sum settlement. I've only had them mess that up a couple of times, and they don't like to pay that penalty, so usually they will get it mailed pretty quickly after the state board approves the settlement. So that's what happens after we agree on a number, whether it's at mediation or otherwise, once your case has been tentatively settled.